Okay. Hey, welcome back. So we have it. Ding, 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 ding. Hopefully. This is our final check. I'm cupping this coffee right now, but this is actually brewed with a filter, V60 style. How I would normally drink it. It's good. You know, it ended up being more mellow than I wanted it to be. And I think that lies with the Ugandan. So let's take a look at that. Okay. So the problem with this, right, like I told you in the last video, I didn't hit my mark. Ignore the underlay. All right. I don't know how to take that out. I forgot how I did that. Okay. So I was trying to elongate the middle phase, right? To like, I don't know. Let's call it like closer to 4 minutes. All right. And I didn't do that, so I approached first cracked at 7:21, even earlier than what I wanted before. So to switch gears, like when I make mistakes at the roaster, I'm just like, okay, well, I can't do that. I can't, take that back. So now let's just try to compensate for the last part of the roast, which now, yes, we have a longer roast time. Development time, right? We're in the 22s. And I wasn't really looking at this number so much anymore. I was just like, okay, let me look at the physical characteristics of the bean through the trier, through the sight glass, looking at the finishing temp. And those were the metrics I was really focused on. And then I was kind of looking at this as just like an observation. Okay, so I knew I wanted to get a higher finishing temp because then I know I could, theoretically it's cooked longer. And I thought, well, I'm just trying to get this guy to be not underdeveloped, okay, and take away that defect that I was tasting. So that's what I tried to do in a sort of like last minute effort to fix it. It's tasting really nice and sweet now. It's creamy. That funky acidity. Somebody in the comments called it out. I also called it grapefruit, because I'm developing the label for it as well. And where's my label? Yeah, I was like stone fruit, grapefruit, citrus, right? So yeah, I think whomever you are, I forget who you are, but you nailed it. I think it was a funky little grapefruit thing, but that funk that I think you were tasting, which when we say funk, we typically are referring to some sort of like maybe like an over fermenty taste, something funky, meaning I think funky can take on two meanings of good and bad. So in this particular case, it was like a weird sort of funk, not a good one. More on the moldier side, not mold, but moldier. Okay. That's sort of like stinky quality. If you've ever had certain single origin whiskeys, even just a whiskey in general, some whiskeys are stinky. So that kind of funk is what I'm talking about. Okay. And I think that was true for this coffee. So the thing that we were trying to fix with that is just like, how can we roast that out of it? And when I was looking back at Hasea's notes for Uganda, for this particular Ugandan coffee, he did mention to recommend that to take it more to like a light, medium light sort of profile. So we can't really keep this guy in the lighter territory because it has this funky acidity. And it was a bit too sour for me. So I roasted it just a little bit longer. I still taste a hint of it, but it's not so jarring, right? Like I said, we want to make those transitions from the high, middle, and finish. We want to make those transitions really smooth, right? So I think we were able to do that with this. However, I don't think, if I'm going to be perfectly honest, I don't think it's that super zing that I wanted. you know. And that makes sense because if we look at this particular green, scored about 84 points, I think, from Jared, and then paired this, blended it with the Colombian, which is this coffee. Let me show you. And this roasts so easy, and it's so versatile at all roast levels, and still has always this really nice, rich clarity of flavor. There's like all kinds of cherries going on: tart cherries, red cherries, dark cherries, muddled cherries, fermented cherries. Like it's a cherry fest. And it roasts really, really easily. It takes on a heat really easily. It doesn't tip very easily as well. So it's just like a really versatile, really nice coffee that just shows through any of the roaster mistakes that I could have made. It's still really nice. So I think this blend, you know, it almost made it, dare I say, like even less special. But I think this could be super syrupy cherry, which is great. I think we could have roasted this and served this at Coffee Fest and probably would have been fine. My goal was to make a blend that was unique. And could I make something better combining two coffees? I think this is an example of, you know, we're blending something and we're maybe doing it more for logistical reasons versus like experimental award-winning reasons. Okay, granted, that wasn't really my goal, but I think maybe secretly, subconsciously, that was my goal. Like force two coffees that are great. Maybe one's great and maybe one's good, and then could I make something excellent with that? I think that's what I was thinking. In my like deep down in my heart, I was like, can we make it like really dope? And sort of living in a fantasy. That's a little delusional, but I think it was a solid effort. I'm not ashamed to serve this coffee. I think it's really good. I think people won't be offended by it. It's light-bodied, but it has this funk to it. And the funk is actually what will make it sort of like, I think, have an audience that will say, this is take it or leave it. So I think it's decisive. Versus if I just roast a Colombian, that maybe just be better for everybody to taste. But I don't know. I'm kind of like going back and forth about it. Nothing is concrete. Okay. So again, I'm just documenting this journey as to what kind of coffee am I going to serve at Coffee Fest? You know, what's going to be a good representation for us too. And it's not like it has to have all this weight on it. I'm putting all this extra pressure on myself, but for fun, like fun pressure. Okay. Use stress. So good stress. And I'm like, like what can I do about it? Should I blend it? Just because you can blend something doesn't mean you always should, right? And I think the answer is already kind of like, you know, staring me in the face. Like, just because we made this coffee and it's showing some potential, I'm not in love with it. And if I were to ask myself point blank, if I'm not in love with it, why would I serve it? Okay. So these are just things like sometimes I catch myself like being on autopilot and just going like, I'm going to make a blend, and then like being so purist or dogmatic about my plan. And the thing is with plans is that they often change. Yeah, I just ordered 2 new coffees. So maybe it might be better to serve something like that, which was my initial thought process. I think I was being, in a weird way, lazy, in that I didn't want to buy something new, lazy or cheap, one of those. But then I ended up buying new coffee anyway because I need new coffee. I need to renew the inventory. I've got a much higher quality coffee in the works, so we've got this coming. No, not that. this one, Costa Rican, and another one from Guatemala. But this is special. This is pretty special. This is right up my alley of the things that I love to drink personally. So anaerobic, naturals. Naturals often tend to be really like, head turners, or they could be sort of too obvious in the cup. People are particular, but I like it. And we're going to get this in maybe in a week or so. So I could just roast this up. And if this kicks the pants out of this roast right here, this is still kind of aging a little bit. It's subtle. It's sweet as it's cooling. It's got a very mellow, soft, subtle acidity now. Which just wasn't my goal. I wanted something with zing, like I said. So, I'm glad I am documenting it, but it is irking me a little bit. So we'll see. Like I said, we're not married to anything. This is going to be the fun of this. This is a little fun for me. Like, what am I going to land on? The fact that I get to make content about it, I think is, makes it even more interesting too. So, there you go. We've cupped it. I think it's fine. I think it's good. But is it the one I want to serve, I don't know. Okay. So I will link these two profiles in there. Commenter who was talking about the funk with the Ugandan. Yeah, take a look at my profile. I'm not getting that funk as much anymore. That lime acidity is basically gone. It's a very subtle grapefruit now. For sure, kind of citrus acidity. There's this bitterness to it. Not necessarily a bad thing with grapefruit. I love grapefruit, as a flavor note. I love it as a fruit too. So yeah, just like, check it out. Links in the description. Let's see where we land. We've bagged it at everything. Like, I was like, oh, this tastes great. Now that I'm having it here in the cup, that's why I'm kind of like second guessing things. So, the charges on both these coffees is inaccurate on the RoastPath. It's $3.90. Yeah, there's a little funky stinkiness to this coffee. It's interesting. Okay, we'll see you in the next one. Bye.